guys, good evening. Hi Swaroop, hi Rakesh.
Hey, hi Hari, looking amazing.
What? Same face what you saw in the morning.
Background is amazing.
I thought what happened to my face? I just saw it 10:30 in the morning. Like in a few hours, what happened? I was thinking.
No, it's amazing, and I really like the way today's session was conducted. It was really amazing.
Okay. Hey Rakesh. Hi. Can you hear me? Rakesh. Hey Rakesh. Hi Praveen, welcome. Rakesh, you're not over here. Can you check your audio?
Hey, Hari, can you hear me now?
Yeah. Hey, hey. Good man. Kishore, can you close the door, please? Okay, Swaroop, Rakesh is from Qualcomm, so is helping us in event.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful.
And
Hi
Praveen,
Rakesh.
and Praveen,
Hey.
Praveen is also from Qualcomm. Hey, Praveen.
Okay, hi Praveen.
Hi, Hari.
Yeah, Swaroop is Aditya's buddy, and he's helping us a lot in the webinar stuff.
Good.
Yeah, Praveen, you are there briefly, right? In the morning today, the call.
Yeah, I was there until the question answer thing started, I think.
Okay, how was it?
It was good, Hari.
I want
It
to
was good.
share your opinion, but you left by the time.
Yeah, sure.
So
I think the content was good. I think the sessions are interesting too, so we'll have to wait and watch. Yeah.
good, man. Thank you, Praveen. So I'll talk to you offline after this. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Can we get started, guys? So who wants to go first? Let me open the PPT. First team. Who is the first? I think Ishwar and somebody. Right? What is the first team? First is Async and Sync Reset. Balaji and Ishwar. Balaji, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Can you start? I think Ishwar just stepped out. So Balaji, go ahead, share the presentation. So each one they get 10 minutes. So I'm going to monitor the time, and there'll be 5 minutes.
Ishwar said he will present this.
He's going to present why he's not here. Let's go to next team. Because I want to. Time is important, right? Okay. Next is Vishnu and Pavan. Vishnu,
Yes, sir.
Pavan. Fundamentals of efficient and what is it? More state machine, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yes.
Right. So 10 minutes. Look at the time. 10 minutes and 5 minutes Q&A. So we have 5 teams to present, right? So it will be like 1 hour 15 minutes. Let's plan that way.
Yes, sir. Sure, sir.
Yeah, so manage your time accordingly, right?
Yes, sir. Sir, you please allow me to present, sir.
What should I do to that?
I think.
Make host. Yeah, I did that.
Yeah, make him host.
I did that.
Sir, is my presentation visible, sir?
Yeah, go ahead. You can see.
Yes, sir. Good evening to everyone. I am Pavan Kumar Shastri and my teammate Vishnu Kumar. We are going to speak about Moore machine method. So, first I would like to introduce regarding synchronous sequential circuits and a basic thing before going to the Moore method. Synchronous sequential circuits are the circuits which change their states due to the positive transition of a clock, which means that suppose if the positive transition of the clock happen from one cycle to another cycle, so the state in the present in the circuit will also change. This is what going to happen in the synchronous sequential circuit. So the basic advantages of these sequential circuits on the combination circuits are feedback loop will be present in this, memory is required for this, and clock is also required. So it is very much useful for many various applications. So we know we have to think like why, what, when, how. So considering this is more useful than combinational circuit. So we will say a graphical representation of states. So I have told the in synchronous sequential circuits we are going to have a transition of states due to clock positive transition. So the graphical representation is called as state diagram, and we call this as this synchronous sequential circuit as a finite state machine or FSM. So because it is having the finite number of states. So there are two types of FSMs. They are Mealy state machine and Moore state machine. So here we can see the two types of synchronous sequential circuits. One is synchronous, one more is asynchronous. Asynchronous is nothing but a combination logic. Here we are having combination logic plus digital storage or the memory element along with the clock. So now I am going to compare Mealy and Moore basically. So what is Mealy state machine? Mealy state machine is a FSM in which output depends on the both present input and present state. It takes both present input and present state. It is done in the Mealy state machine method. In the Moore state machine, we are going to have output which is depending only on the present state only. So only depends on the present state. This is the basic difference between the Mealy and Moore method in the design. So here you can see how the Mealy block diagram is there. So input and output we are going to get from the combinational logic. We are going to have memory in the feedback. So here is one of the example for the Mealy state machine. And here in the Moore state machine, which I am going to concentrate more, the input we are going to give in the combinational logic, and the output we are going to get in the memory element. Here memory is in feedback in same like in Mealy state machine. So here is the example which I have given for the Moore state machine. So these are all A, B, C, D are the states, and this is the transition for the inputs, and the outputs are specified below 0, 0, 0, 1. These are the outputs of the current states. So I am going to tell here the sequence detectors. So before going to the detectors, I would like to tell some of the differences in the Mealy and Moore method. Here in the Mealy,
go ahead. Go to the sequence
okay, sir.
for lack of
Okay,
time.
sir. Okay, sir. Mealy will have less power. Moore Moore will take more power. So here overlapping method and non-overlapping method are two methods we are having. So in the overlapping method, the final bits of the one sequence be the start of another sequence. So the final bits of the one sequence, consider this circuit. So the final bits will depend on the another sequence. So in the non-overlapping method, the final bits of one sequence cannot be the start of another sequence. This is the thing which we are having. This is non-overlapping method, and this is the overlapping method example. So here I have drawn the timing diagram for the non-overlapping method. So for the positive clock transition, the state is going to change. So when input is 0, there is no state change. When the input has become 1, there has been a change in state. And even with the output has been positive only when state D is called. This is for the overlapping method. In the overlapping method also I have used the same positive clock triggered circuit. Here here the output is going to change in the same like the D state number D. In the same way input will work at the when only the input is 1, the circuit is going to start. Now I am going to run this circuit. I am going to run the code for the Moore state machine of overlapping method. In the output form I have given here. So we will see the non-overlapping method Moore machine.
Pawan, did you write the code yourself, or is it copied from somewhere?
No, we have taken reference from the material, but we have written our own, sir.
Okay. Did you write test bench on your own?
Yes, sir.
Very good. So did you cover all the possible combinations?
Yes, sir.
So what is this waveform actually doing, like functionality? What is behind the like what is the functionality here? I see that D out is going high and the state of when state transition happening from 3 to 0 and it skipped high till 0. What it is doing, by the way, this functionality of this what is the underlying functionality for this waveform?
What pattern? Can you tell me what is the pattern it is detecting?
Mhm.
It is a edge detector, sir. What we have done here is the edge detector. So when the input is going to be high, it is going to start counting. It is going to take the input, and it is going to specify whether it is in a correct format or not. So from one state to other state is going to happen. So the code I would like to explain, sir. So
Okay. So previously you have explained about the that Meal, Murray, and two sort of the implementation, and the second one is, I think that is a different example for which you would be explaining. I see.
yes,
Okay.
this
Yeah, please carry on. Mhm.
yes, sir. So this is the code which I have written for the more non-overlapping code. So here I have defined the output D out and input D in reset and clock, Verilog code. So as I have defined the user-defined enumerated type logic for the states A, B, C, and D. And here I have used only one always statement, sir. Using one always statement, I have defined the design. So the circuit starts either at the positive edge of the clock or the positive edge of the reset. It is going to begin. So here, if reset, the D out is going to be 1 dash B not B0, that is nothing but 0, and state is going to be A initially. So if it is not reset, then we are going to use the case statements here. This when the case is when case state is A, D out will be 1 dash B naught, that is 0, and if D in is 1, the state is going to transit as a B, else it is going to be in the same A itself. For the B in this circuit, if the state case is B, D out will be same 1 dash B naught, that is 0. If D in is going to be 1, the state is going to transit as
Don't
C.
walk through line by line. It's okay. We can understand.
Yes, sir.
That
So
line number, sorry, one question. Line number 30, the state has to be B, right?
yes, sir.
Okay. I believe it's just a typo. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So the difference we are getting in the overlapping and non-overlapping is in the state D. So output is going to A here, and D out is going to be changed as 1 dash V1, that is 1, and state is going to be A. So because it is a non-overlapping method, so not to have any overlap, the state is again initialized to the state A, even if D in is not given properly. So here I have written test bench, sir. So I have declared a test bench. Afterwards, I have defined the clock that for every 5 seconds, 5 nanoseconds, it should transit. So then for 10 seconds, I have made reset is equal to 1, then reset is 0. After that, the D in I have put as a sequence 1, 1, 0, 1 for each 10 seconds. Then I have changed the sequence such as D in is equal to 1, 1, 0, 0 again for the same 10 nanoseconds. So when I run this, this has got the output which I have got here. So when when Dn is equal to 0, there is no change of state at all. You can see here. So it is going to be in the initial state, that 0, that is A. When Dn has become 1, and when Dn has become 1 for the positive edge of the clock, the state has transited to the state 1, nothing but B. Again, again the state has changed at the second time for the positive clock, that is Dn is equal to 1 and D out is equal to 0 for the state 2, that is C. And when the clock positive, at the time the Dn has become 0 from the negative clock of previous thing. So Dn has become 0 at 0, and when D out is equal to 0, the state has come to the 3, that is nothing but the state D, which I have specified prior. So this is the non-overlapping method, sir. So this is the overlapping method which I have designed here. The only change which I am going to have is in the state D. Same, the code is similar to that, only in the state D I have changed some of the specifications. So if Dn is going to be 1, the D out is going to be 1-B1, that is equal to 1, and state is going to be in the previous design it has been A, whereas here it has been B. In the same way, else D out has been 1-B0, that is equal to 0, D out is 0, and the state has sent to the state A. This is the difference between the overlap and non-overlap method which we have done. And the test bench which I have written is same for both overlap and non-overlap, sir.
So Pawan, just one quick feedback.
Yes,
This
sir.
test bench that you have written, right? Do you think that is exhaustive enough to catch all the combinations? Because I think if it was exhaustive, then that typo was there in line number 30, right? I believe you should have caught that when you had run the test bench.
Yes, sir.
Maybe-
When I am running initially, I got that problem. Then I have changed some changes. Sir. Here I think I didn't do here, but I have tried, sir. It has.
Okay.
That,
You have to test all the state transition should be covered. No, you have to make sure.
Exactly.
That's
Your
what we
test
mentioned.
bench,
By all
right?
combinations, you should cover all possible combinations should be covered in the test bench. That's
Correct.
what
So
we
for
say also.
example, now you have 4 states, right? So all 2 power 4, so all the combinations you should cover. That is how you can exhaustively make sure that your circuit is working as intended.
sure, sir.
Okay, do that as a homework and you will let me know. Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
just a feedback, right? I mean,
Yeah.
this is good,
Yes.
but just a feedback. Yeah.
Yeah. So one question, right?
Yes, sir.
And yeah, so other question is like you said only one bit can overlapping pattern. Can be more than one bit overlap?
Yes, sir. It can overlap, sir. But the thing is, when we are doing, we need to be careful that output there should not be any synthesis mismatch. Simulation synthesis mismatch should not happen. And again, a formation of latches or glitches should not be there, sir. We have to take care, and on the condition we have to test as we have discussed, and then only it can happen, sir. Sir.
Yep. Any questions of the students, other guys, other teams, right? So there are 18 till. Hope everyone is present here, so nobody is bunking. Let me take a quick attendance roll call. Is everyone present? How do we check? We have Bhunesh, I have Girish, I have Shankar,
Yes, sir.
Sriram, I have Yogesh is not around. Vishnu is sick, I know. Ishwar is in, and Balaji, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me check. Who are there? Okay. I will know when people present. So, any questions from the other students? Sriram, Balaji, Bhuvanesh, Girish.
No, sir.
No, you cannot say no. You have to ask. How can you say no?
Sir, I am not conceptually good in FSM so far. So,
Who said that? Whose voice is this, man? You attended all the classes.
Sriram, sir.
How can you say that, Sriram? You attended all the classes. And it's a black mark for me, right? You say now we come. And
sir, one more program is pending. Sir. So
Program? What is program?
one more program, one more EDA playground is pending to be done from my side, sir. So after finishing that, I will get a confidence in FSM, sir. That's
Fine.
why I
Okay.
told
Yeah, but
that.
yeah, please. Yeah, we are moving ahead. Yeah. So you've done all these efforts a few weeks before, and as I said, kindly don't use the word program. Right? We are talking about design. It's RTL or a design.
Okay.
So please never use the word program. If I hear somebody use the word program, I'm going to blasting them. Okay. Please don't use it. Take it very
Yes,
serious.
sir.
Take it very serious. This is not a software class. It's a hardware class. It's not a software. Okay. Yeah, okay. So anyone else? I want all of you to ask questions. This is for you guys to understand, right? Thanks for Sridham being honest. I really appreciate it.
So Pavan, I have a question here.
Yes,
So
sir. Yes.
where do you think, so you explained melee, more, and then overlapping, non-overlapping, right? Can you give me a
Yes.
few examples in which type of application, say melee is used, which type of application more is used, and where would you come across overlapping and where would you come across non-overlapping? I think you covered what is all of this. I
Yes,
wanted to
sir.
know where these are used.
Yes. The more basically more is used in the SRAM, and for the process in the processor for registers it is used, sir, more. Mainly it is like a in the for mathematical models, and also mainly is used in if you want to go for a particular type of tools, or we are going to search anything in anything, we are going to use the melee state machines.
Okay. And what about overlapping and non-overlapping? Any specific examples?
No, sorry, sir. No idea. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine. Thanks.
Okay, now let's understand. Like, no, like, Praveen or Rakesh, can you tell like what are the practical applications more and melee, so students can learn? That's a good question, Praveen, by the way, right?
Yeah, so melee and Moore actually most of the state machine means generally in the implementation wise it is where you have this timing issues, let's say that you have in the melee, right, you are actually considering the input as well, and Moore is actually just your state is output. So basically any of the state means any FSM actually you can implement either in melee or Moore. I haven't seen any strict guideline or in my design experience, but mainly it is for related. If you have any timing related thing, then generally, yeah, we have to be careful which implementation would be useful. So it is based on I would say what kind of problem you're solving. So as you have said that some of the example the melee, which is actually when you're taking the any kind of external input, and this Moore is actually when you have that stable output. So that kind of thing.
Yeah. So Pavan, a question, related question. So thanks, Rakesh. Good explanation. Right.
Yes.
So one hot state machines, right? So is it a Moore or
Yes.
melee state machine?
One hot. I think more, sir.
Yeah. Right, Rakesh. There's more, right? Because the flip flop goes to output directly.
Yeah, but state machine you can enumerate in any of these things, right? Like means either you can implement in the melee, and you can implement in the Moore as well. What I meant to say is it shouldn't be any strict on the one hot. One hot is kind of like when you are just avoiding the glitches, right? Okay.
Yeah, okay, let's go to the next presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Good job, good job. Yeah, Ishwar and Balaji.
Yeah, good presentation, Pawan. Thank you.
Host. So who's going to present, Ishwar or Balaji? Where is Ishwar's icon here? Okay. How do you see him? Good participants, okay. Showing some chat window to me.
Sir, I think I need to make him host. I think so, sir.
Yeah, you have to make him host. Yeah, please make him. Yeah, please make Ishwar as host. Yeah, okay, fantastic.
Is the screen visible? Okay. So good evening to one and all. My name is H. Ishwar. Myself, along with Balaji S, will be presenting about Mealy state machines. Yeah. So these are the topics we are going to be covering. So Balaji is going to start off with the introduction. Balaji, please continue.
Hello everyone. FSM stands for finite state machine. Finite state machine is nothing but a sequential circuit with finite number of states, which changes its state when a clock pulse is applied, preferably at the pause edge of the clock. There are two types of state machine. One is Mealy state machine, another one is mood state machine. Mealy state machine is one in which the output depends on the present state as well as the inputs. Mood state machine is the one in which the output depends only on the present state. Example for the FSMs are counters, sequence injectors, arbiters, etc. This is an example for a Mealy FSM.
So I'll be taking over encoding styles. So basically, you got two. We're going to cover two encoding styles: binary and one hot. Binary encoding, you have obviously binary values. Number of flip-flops you will need in this is you'll get it by log base 2 of the number of states. In one hot encoding, only one bit can be high at a time. So in one hot encoding, each and every state requires one flip-flop. Let me illustrate this with an example. Say you need to design a finite state machine for 10 states. If you take binary encoding, you can achieve this with just 4 flip-flops. On the contrary, if you take one hot encoding, it will take you 10 flip-flops to achieve this. So, moving on to the next slide. So the coding goals. So basically, there are 4 goals. To determine an efficient coding style, your following goals have to be identified. So number 1 is the coding style has to be modified accordingly with your state encoding. However, it has to be changed necessarily. It has to be modified. And number 2, your code has to be very easy. Should be understandable. Number 3, your code should enable you to facilitate debugging. And number 4, it should be able to synthesize the code effectively. So now I will be covering 2 always block and 1 always block, and Balaji will cover 1 hot FSM and registered FSM outputs. So moving to 2 always blocks. So in 2 always block coding style, you have 1 always block for the sequential state register, another for your combinational output logic. I'm just opening the code. So as you can see on your screens, is the coding for arbiter 2 always block. So you take an inputs
We
clock.
still see your slide.
Sorry, we can't
Yeah.
see the.
Yeah, we still see your slide.
One minute. Yes, sir. Now is it visible?
Yes, we can see. Go ahead.
Yeah. So take an inputs clock reset request 0 request 1 output grant 0 grant 1. Then here always at the first always block. This is for your sequential logic. So always at state or request 0 or request 1, we are using the case statement here. Then if it's an idle case, you'll yeah, this is for idle case. If the request 0 is enabled, then next state will be grant 0. If request 1 is enabled, it will be grant 1. Otherwise, it's going to sit in idle state. Now for grant 0, request 0 is enabled, next state will be grant 0. And in your output, your grant 0 will be will rise. Will be 1. Similarly, for grant 1, if request 1 is enabled, then grant 1 will be enabled. It will be high. By default, the next state will be idle. And your second always block for your second always block. Here you given if this we have used for reset. Now I'm just going to run the code. As you can see, we have used all possible combinations here. It is when both grant 0, when request 0 and request 1 both are 0, both the outputs are 0. When request 0 is 1, grant 0 becomes 1. When request 0 becomes 0, grant 0 becomes 0 again. So when request 1 is enabled, then request 1 is enabled, then grant 1 becomes high. Then when both are enabled, precedence is given to grant 0. So when both request 0 and request 1 are enabled, grant 0 will become high, grant 1 will remain as it was. Yeah. That's all with the two always block.
Yeah, I just want to
Yeah.
Coding example where you have one always block, which is you have the combination circuit. Yeah, this is very very common practice we do. This very good example, I would say. Yeah, go carry on. I just wanted
moving
to,
on to one always block. Now in one always block, see, both the state register and the output, everything will be in the same block. Now if you use one always block, there's a chance that your coding can be more error prone, it can be more confusing, and it can be more verbose as well.
Somehow your audio is
yeah. Did you say anything?
I can hear now. Yes.
Yeah. Sir, is the coding visible?
Yes.
Okay. So here we used a one always block.
See.
Yeah, as you can see, we've taken the same inputs, we've taken the same outputs. Here, yeah, as I stated earlier, the only difference is that we used a one always block here. So again, for all three cases, for idle, when it is an idle, when grant 0 has been enabled, when grant 1 has been enabled, it will be shown for all three states. And the reset as well will be shown over here. Everything in the same block. I'm going to run the code. Yeah. Again, as you can see, we've covered all possible conditions. If request 0 becomes 1, again grant 0 becomes high. Request 1 becomes high, grant 1 is high. Again, when both are high, grant 0 is given precedence, that will become high. And so that's it from me. Now Balaji is going to cover. Yeah. Balaji will be covering one hot FSM and for registered FSM outputs. Balaji, can you take over?
Thank you, Vishwa.
Can I have so what is the the functionalities are same in both of the example you have shown? Waveform, the output are coming exactly at same timing. You are seeing the same timing for the output
Yes,
in
sir.
both of.
Output is the same in both cases.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, as I stated earlier, the only difference is going to be that your one hot, sorry, my apologies. I mean, your when you use a single always block, you can, there's a chance that your coding is prone to more errors. It can be very verbose, or it can sometimes prove to be too confusing as well for the person who's reading it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that is basically the only difference that I want to state over here.
Yeah, another thing I see is that like you have many flops implementation in one always. That's what you're showing, right? Here, like all the like state has implemented with flop grant 0, grant 1, but in I think previous example, I think only the state was the means suppose means it is kind of like implementing in flop. Others will the combination circuit. You see?
Just
Yeah, so this one is
yeah.
like upper one is like a combinational, and last only state is actually will be implemented as a flop, and here everything will be most of the things will be implemented as a flop. So one will be like good for timing, but as the area would be high, and other will be better for area, but bad.
So can we move on?
Sorry, I have one question here. So you mentioned when Rec 0 and Rec 1 both are 1,
Yeah.
you said grant 0 will get precedence, right?
Yeah.
So is there a way you can make grant 1 to get precedence?
Want to get precedence. We have to put another condition and specify it, sir. When both are 1, you have to give precedence to grant 1. If we specify it like that, it will be given.
Okay, currently how is it that you're saying that grant 0 will get precedence based on your code?
By default, grant 0 is given precedence, sir.
When you say by default, can you explain?
Okay. By default, okay. So, okay, let me take.
Sir, we designed in that way, sir. We designed in that way in which we request 0 as highest priority, sir.
Okay, where is that exactly in the code? Can you tell me? Where is that thing? You said you defined it, right? Where is it?
Yes, sir. In the ideal state, if you look at if request 0 becomes 1, then it will execute. Then the next step will be done 0. It won't go to the else if condition, sir. It will directly come out after executing that line, sir.
So which line number is this?
Line number 19, sir.
19, sir.
Okay. So now that's what I asked, right? So now if I want to make grant 1 get precedence, so what is the change that I have to do?
Accordingly, you have to swap request 0 and request 1.
Okay, thank you.
Now, all clear to move on?
Yes, no questions from my side. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay, over to you, Balaji.
Now I'm going to tell you about the one-hot coding style. In the style, state encodings are done using one-hot encoding method. Here the parameters are not defined with the state encodings, but given an index into the state vector. This style uses an inverse case statement, which is a case statement in which each case item is evaluated true or false. It does a one-bit comparison. When you use this one-hot coding style, we can make assignments into a 1 bit. Rather than making it 3 or 4 bits, we can make assignments into 1 bit. This coding style is efficient. Now we'll see the examples.
Is the code visible?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is the same example mentioned before arbiter. Inputs and outputs are same. The thing is, the difference is the parameter in which the states are encoded with 0, 1 and 2, which is an index into one state vector. If you do so, we can make the assignments into a single bit. And in this type, we are used two always blocks, one for the combinational output logic and combinational next state logic, and another always block for sequential state register. The case statement compares each and every bit in the state. Which one, which if the state of idle bit equals one, then it will execute the state of idle assignments. If the state of grand zero bit equals one, then the corresponding assignments are executed. If state of grand one is one, then the corresponding assignments are executed. Now we can run the code. Since the inputs and outputs are the same and the test bench also same, the output is same in this case also. When request 0 goes 1, grand 0 is asserted and goes to 1. When request 0 becomes low, grand 0 also becomes low. When request 1 goes high, grand 1 is asserted. When request 1 goes low, grand 1 also goes low. Based on the priority given to request 0, when both requests are 1, grand 0 is asserted. Okay. Next style is registered FSM output coding style. We are registering the FSM outputs in order to avoid glitches. Glitches is the transition occurs on a signal before it reaches one intended state. For example, if the output has to become 1 at a particular time, before that, if the transition occurs, it is said to be a glitch. Outputs are registered easily by adding a third always block, which is a sequential one. If you look at the code, the only change is we are added one additional always block, which is a sequential block, especially for output. Output assignments are generated in a case statement. The design is the same one, arbiter design. We can run the code. So if you look at here, request 0 goes high, grand 0 is asserted. Request 0 goes low, again grand 0 also becomes low. Request 1 goes high, grand 1 becomes high. If it goes low, grand 1 also goes low. That's it. To conclude, to code FSM with combinational outputs, 2 always blocks is an efficient coding style. If you want to register the outputs, then 3 always block is efficient. It is better to avoid 1 always block style since it is more error prone and more confusing. It is not a bad style, but it is better if you avoid the one always block style. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just give some probably some input. So if you have one, can you show me that the previous example that where and the code for that, this code for this one, yes. Yeah, so here, so you have 3 always block. So generally we consider that actually combinational one, right? That would be different. And the sequential will be different, like 2 always clock. Just one thing actually I wanted to mention is that at the last of course is clock always block, right? So you have added the timing parameter here. like which will like any reason for that? Like grant 0 assigning your means that is yeah, that after one time take b0, any reason?
No, sir, I think like that.
Okay. Yeah. So probably you wanted to see in the waveform probably clearly that it is output. But yeah. Okay. So actually, in a good coding style, generally we don't use. Probably I think that is not the scope of this presentation. By the way, yeah. Just wanted to note. Okay. Thank you.
Any questions? The other students, Girish, Sriram, Pavan.
Sir, we are ready, sir. Bonesh and Shankarana.
No, but ask questions for them, right? Sorry, I was busy doing something else on the WhatsApp, so I didn't pay attention. Any questions to be asked? Rakesh, Praveen, Swaroop.
Sir, am I audible, sir?
Yeah. Any questions for this team, Balaji and Ishwar?
Yes, sir. From me, sir. Sriram. Am I
Yeah, please
audible,
ask.
sir?
Yeah, please ask. Go ahead.
So since one always block is prone to many confusions, as you said, is there any function where only one always block can be done, which cannot be done by two always block? Is there any design?
This question is for who?
None as far as I know.
Okay,
So yeah.
I just wanted to know that.
Yeah, so that's what Sriram. To answer your question, as far as I know, there is nothing like that. So yeah, any other questions?
Okay.
Guys, any other questions?
Anything else? Praveen or Rakesh, can we go ahead, or you have any questions for this team?
No, Hari, nothing from my side. Yeah.
Okay. Rakesh, Swaroop.
Yeah, nothing from my end. I think they have
Yeah,
answered.
you know, there's a gift voucher of 1,000 rupees at stake, so you better ask question. I'm giving 1,000 rupees and other like tagging at 8 p.m. and in this case also there's another 1,000 rupees like no, you in my pocket. So we better ask questions to evaluate, man.
Yeah.
Because we have to come to conclusion. I'm the teacher, so I'll not be. I'll stay away. Like no, I don't want to be biasing, right?
Right.
Okay, no questions. Let's move ahead to the next team. Ishwar, make Shankar. Who's going to present, Shankar or other guy?
Sir, Bonesh, sir.
Make Bhuvanesh as a host. Okay, Bhuvanesh, go ahead. We have only 4 presentations. The 5th team is not ready to present. Right, I think there's some communication gap. I think Yogesh is not here, and Siddharth just came in 2 days before to this class. Though he's done masters in from from Melbourne University, and yeah, I think he's very new to this class. But his other classmate, the other teammate is also not like the class. So I don't know what's happening. Sorry about that. So we'll only 4 presentations today.
So, namaste to everyone. Myself, Shankar Narayanan, studying in BEC third year. I'm from Sri Chandrasekharendra Saraswati Vishwamahavidyalaya in Kanchipuram. Myself and Bonesh are going to do a seminar on latches. No? Before entering into the latches, let me give a small explanation about what is logical. I will not take much time. Sorry. So before entering, which you have to know what is logical circuit. Logical circuit is the circuit which are constructed by gates, that is and or not so and so. So these circuits will operate only on high or low, that is 1 and high. So before there are two types of logical circuits, that is combinational and sequential circuits. So combinational circuits are the circuits where the gates are the building blocks, that is and or not, and the output of that combination circuits mainly depends upon the input. So the example for that combination circuits are adder, subtractor, multiplexer. So next one is sequential circuits, where now the latches enters. So for the sequential circuits, the latches are the building blocks. So here the outputs will depend upon the input as well as the previous output of the circuit. We can see from the example which is given below, that is cross-coupled inverters. So the cross-coupled inverters has two stable states. State, that is state 0, and state 1 are the two stable states. So now we are entering into the latch. As I said, the latch is the building blocks of the sequential circuit. Here the latch is a sequential circuit. Latch is a storage device, that is it's a temporary storage device. The latch has a two stable states. The stables are the the two stable states is that set and reset are the two stable states, and there are two inputs and outputs, as we can see from the below example, that is cross coupled and where S and R are the two input states, and the output state is that Q and Q dash. The Q and Q dash are complement to each other, which means if the Q is equals 0, the Q dash will be 1. If the Q dash is equal to 0, then Q will be 1. So for the definition for that cross coupled is that it has two states, that is bistable, that is set and reset, in which the output of the gate is the input of the output of the first gate is the input of the second gate, and also the output of the second gate is the input of the first gate, as we can clearly see from the given diagram. In the first SR, the output is connected to the reset of the input, and in R, the output of that R is connected to the input of the S. Next slide. Here is a representation of the different types of latch. There are that is types of latch. There are two types of latch, that is SR latch and D latch. SR latch is the set reset latch, and D latch is the data latch. Further, SR latch is classified into three types, that is active low input, active high input, and gated latch. Before entering into that, we should know what is active low. Active low is the type of latch which is set, that is set is equal to 0, and active high means both the set and reset inputs are connected to the ground. So when the set input goes high, the output also goes high. Here the second in the second point, when the set input returns to the low, the output remains high. It doesn't go low. So the output of the active high latch stays high until the reset input goes high. So this is the truth table for the SR latch. That is when the S is 0 and set is 0 and reset is 0, the output will be latch. That is, we can store information. When the set is equal to 0 and our reset is equal to 1, the Q becomes 0 and Q dash becomes 1. As I said before, the Q and Q dash are complement to each other. It differs. In the last is point, when the set is equal to 1 and the reset equals to 1, the Q and Q dash remains this 0. This is the diagram representation for the SR latch for the NAND gate. So when the S is equal to 1, the output will be 0. When means when the Q dash is equal to 1. If the Q is equal to 0, the output becomes 1. When means when R is equal to 1, that is reset equal to 1. The table says that the set is equal to 1, reset equal to 1 means there will be no change, which means we can store information. When the set is equal to 0 and reset equals to 1, the output will be Q is equal to 1, which means the Q dash is equal to 0, as they are complement to each other. When the set is equal to 0 and also reset equals to 0, it is an invalid state. We cannot store any information. So this is the representation for the gated SR latch on the NAND gate. So it the first is the first points here says that it amplifies the SR latch output, and it also works with the enable input. So we have to know what is enable input. In latch, the enable input means that the latch has a third input. In order to be active, it has a third input. This third input is known as enable input. It enables the operation of the set and reset inputs. The enable input, which is connected to a simple switch. So this is the representation of the truth table for the gated SR latch. So as we can see, when the S is equal to 0, R is equal to 0, and G is equal to 0, it remains hold. From here, Bhuvanesh will continue. My friend Bhuvanesh. Hold on to Bhuvanesh.
Good evening, everyone. I am Bhuvanesh. I am doing my third year of degree in SVCE. I am from ECE. I am going to discuss about the remaining slides here. First, data latch is not entirely different from SR latch. When we connect a NOT gate between the S and R terminal, we get a data latch. What is delatch? It means it will removes the invalidity condition where 1 and 1 condition SR latch, it is invalid condition, but to eliminate that condition only, we actually prefer data latch. Yeah, this is the logic diagram of delatch. Let's consider D equal to 0. So here it is 0, it is 1. We start with Q equal to 0 here. When Q, so 0, 0 means it is one condition here. So Q, Q bar is complement of Q. Here it satisfies the condition. Also here it is 1 means here it also 1. So 1, 1 means it's 0. It also satisfies the condition of NOR gate. So this is first condition here. When basically latch is a memory element, so when we remove the input also, it gives the previous output. Here it is 1 0. Here we are removing D, so again it's 0 0. No. We start with D equal to 1 here. At first condition D equal to 1, so here it is 1, it is 0 here. Start with 0 here, so 0 0 1 means it is 0, so 0 0 means
You start with the upper one, D1 1, then upper will be 0, then 0 0 again will be 1.
Sir, I didn't get it. What did you mean, sir?
No, nothing. Here, like it would satisfy, right? 1 0 here as well.
1 0.
That Q bar.
No, he's saying just go from the top NOR gate first.
Yeah, that would be that would be.
Can you erase everything? Can you erase everything and retry? Yeah, just go with D is 1. So yeah, 1.
0.
Then this will be 0. Okay, now let's go to the top. Yeah, so what will be the output of Q bar now?
Q bar 1 means it is 0. 1,
okay.
Sir.
How will it be 1?
Sir,
this is NOR gate, right?
NOR gate. Whenever one of the input is 1, it will give.
Input is 1, so output.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. It is 0. Okay, sir.
So 0. Now come. Now bring that to the bottom gate. So it is 0 0. So Q will be 1. Right. Come to the bottom gate.
Okay. Then here it is 1 means here it also 1. 1 1 means 0. When we remove the input, it D equal to 0. It stores the previous value. How means 0. So here it is 0. Here it is 1. So 0. Here it is 1. 0 1 means we have 0 here. Then here 0 means 1 0.
Yeah, actually, once you are changing the input, your output will change. The mean you are removing it actually, so you are, you are not doing any more transactions. So I think that time it will be preserved. But once you change the input, then definitely your output will change.
Okay, sir. Sir, just a minute, sir. Sorry, sir. Some personal issues, sir. Hello.
Yeah, that's okay. Continue.
No, it's okay. No problem.
Okay. Sir, in this slide, we are going to get where we can infer a latch in the design, sir. Basically, latches are harmful to design in a circuit, sir. Why? Because they form combinational loops and glitches in the output. It is not safe for a it is not safe to produce a good circuit, sir. When we miss an else statement, it automatically inferred as latch, sir. When we miss a default statement in case, it will also refers to latch. Then when we miss else in if else conditioning statements, we are inferred as latches, sir. Here we can see a code, sir. Is screen visible, sir?
No, we still see your slide.
Okay, sir.
So just click on the new share option, and then you can click on your. You'll get an option to choose which screen to share.
Thank you, Ishwar. Is it visible, sir? Code.
Yes.
Yes, we can see.
When we normally in the mux we have select and inputs and one output, sir. Means if we select equal to 0, y takes I1, and if select equal to 1 means y take I2, sir. But yeah, this is working of a normal mux, sir. When select equal to 0 means it takes I1 value, so y equal to 0. In this part, when select equal to 1 means it will takes I2, where I2 equal to 1, so it takes I2 value. But what happens when else part is missing, sir? Yeah, when select goes to 1, it it remains in the previous state, sir. So it means 0. It should go I2, sir. So here it means latched the previous output, sir. So this is the basics of latch, sir. When we miss the else statement, we automatically inferred as a latch, or when other case, if input equal to the output means it also referred as latch, sir. Here else y equal to y, so it will get the previous output when select equal to 1, sir. Yeah, here it also when select goes high, it latches the previous output 0 here also, sir. This is another kind of making latches. And other cases, if we don't use a default statement in cases, we get latches. Yeah, the difference between the latches are level triggered and flip-flops are edge triggered, sir. Then latches requires enable signal alone, but flip-flops requires clock signals. Latches produces output at the instant of the instant changes, but flip-flops only when the clock changes only we can get the output. Uh, then latches are faster, sir. Then flip-flops are comparatively slower to latch. But we always prefer flip-flops in our design. Why? Because means latches produce uh, combinational loops and glitches. That means I will say that in this slide itself. So what is combinational looping means? If consider that this is an combinational block, sir. A is an input and Z is an output. Here, when output is looped with another input, it will be known as a combinational looping, sir. Combinational looping is more a kind of state machine, but one difference is we don't have any intermediate elements like flip-flops or any memory elements. We doesn't have any memory elements in between the connections, sir. It is so dangerous to uh, design a circuit like this, sir. What are the disadvantages? Mm, 1 minute, sir. Here we will see an example, sir. If x1 is 0, x2 is 0, x3 is 0. It is basically mux, uh, and we are connecting the output y as an input I2. Here it is I2. It is a latch. When one of the else statement, it will refer as y equal to y. So x1 equal to 0, x2 0, x3 0, sir. Here it is 0 at the first clock, at the first cycle. Logical delay, here it is 0, here it is 0, and the total output cell becomes 0, and I naught, let us consider I naught equal to 1 here. So y will be 1. At the next instance, x1 becomes 1 and x2 becomes 1 and the x3 becomes 1. So here we will have 1, and here we will have 1 means here it is 0, here we have 0, but cell we have 1. So previously y equal to 1. This time we will change I not equal to 0, sir. So what happens means here it is 1. So cell becomes again 1. This condition also y becomes 1. No. 0. Yeah, it is 1. But what happens in next condition means let me consider x2 equal to 0. X2 0 means here it is 1. Here it is 1. happens? Sir, just a minute, sir. Zero means here it is. Sir, every gate it will have a propagation delay, sir. So here it zero means it is one here, but we get here it is zero. So we have 0, 0, 1 condition. One means so it is okay. Here it is one. Oh, sir. Uh, Sir, later part I will explain the slide, sir. Yeah. Why latches are not being used in the design means we combinational loop occurs, subsequent oscillation. It does not give stability, sir. Then advantages of latches is consumes less power, faster than flip flops, and mostly they can be designed easily comparatively to flip flops. Corrective measures when we uh, latches we corrective measures we didn't give the synthesizer to decide itself what happens if any of the condition didn't matches. We should provide else statement everywhere in if else statement, in the if else if and if else statement, and case we should give default statements. We should not remain as it is. That is the corrective measures. So basically, that's all, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your precious time.
Any questions, students and the or experts?
Yes, sir. One question, sir. Sir, one question, sir.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Thanks, sir. This question is about SR lag, sir. Sir, the question is to that who presented SR lag. When SR lag has a situation where it becomes zero, the input S and R becomes zero, which logic gate executes the first output and which logic gate receives the executed output? Because both actions are simultaneously, both the outputs are interdependent. So which occurs first?
Sorry, Shriram, I couldn't able to get you. Can you repeat me?
Yes, I will repeat. So when both S and the R inputs, both inputs are at the zero condition, which output comes first, Q or Q naught? Because both the inputs are same and both the outputs Q and Q naught are interdependent. The output has to go to the input of other latch. So which output executes first and which output receives the executed output?
Yeah.
I think both will occur simultaneously. Hello.
Yeah, I too.
Sriram?
Okay.
Hello.
Hello? Yeah, understood.
Okay.
Understood. Yeah.
Hey, guys, we are running late. Like, no, we have to finish. So please hurry up the discussions, and I want expert people to summarize. Like, no, so yeah, so we get to decide what happens, right? So please speed up. Swarup, if you want to leave, can you just summarize your observation, then you can take leave.
Yeah, sure. See, guys, you are doing a phenomenal job, because I firmly believe at this level we should be able to describe the concepts in the minimal amount of information. At the same time, please do focus on the application part, because when we want to be a part of industry, application is something that is very important. We should be very much aware of the concepts. Fundamental has to be very clear, but at the same time we should be also aware of what are the different applications where it can be used. And if really you want to have an interaction with industry oriented people, like who are here today part of this discussion, so you should also come up with certain questions for them, so that they can contribute in that manner. Yeah, thank you, Hari.
Thank you, Swarup. Thanks for your time. I guess can you quickly wind up the current question answer session, and then I'll go back to Praveen and Rakesh for observations, and probably we wind up. And probably we need some time to decide and deliberate on the results. Probably we'll do that only tomorrow, I suppose.
Sir, mine and Girish team, we are pending.
We have to present it, sir. Me and Shriram.
Wow, still one more.
Yes, sir.
And why? I think I got busy with my other activities, so I couldn't focus. Just 4 papers. I told 10 minutes and 5 minutes Q&A, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So please, guys. So who's currently presenting? I think we'll have to stop that.
I think Shankara Narayan.
Shankar, are you done? Are you done, Shankar?
Yes, sir. Finished, sir.
Yeah, okay. Any questions for Shankar and Bhuvanesh?
Sir, he asked, sir. Shriram asked, sir.
Okay. So let's go to next. Let's switch, man. Yeah, I'm getting late. I'm 2-3 calls pending. I have to talk to people. Yeah, probably I'll call them. Yeah, you guys go ahead. I'll be on mute. So yeah, we have exactly 10 minutes to go. It was scheduled close. The time is very important, guys. When I told 10 minutes, it should be 10 minutes. We are going to put marks for that also, right? We are going to evaluate. We cannot be taking more time.
Shriram, can you present?
Yes, sir. Please enable me to present, sir.
Sir, you are the host now, sir.
Yeah, let me see. Make host, okay. Yep.
Sir, is my display visible, sir?
Yeah, no, not yet.
Okay, 1 minute, sir. Okay, sir. So my topic is latch versus flip-flop. I'm Sriram, and I'm a third-year EC student from Wales University, Pallavaram. And yeah, while doing this presentation, if you feel that my audio is not clear, please because I'm having a signal problem here. Okay, I will go to the first introductory part of latch. So what is latch? It is a 1-bit memory storing circuit. It stores 1-bit bistable values. The bistable values are 0 and 1. And they are a building block of flip-flop. Every flip-flop contains latch. The difference between latch and a flip-flop in the circuital notion is the latch doesn't have a clock, but the flip-flop has a clock, and they are level triggered. And what is the meaning of level triggered? The meaning is when the clock pulse is when the clock pulse 1 minute, when the clock pulse is given, the level means the horizontal duration, pulse duration. Can you see my cursor, sir?
Yes, continue.
Yes, continue. Yes, sir. This horizontal line, this horizontal duration of pulse, that is called as level, sir. So as long as this pulse is high, the latch processes its task. So that's why it is called the latch. The latch doesn't have to wait for clock. So it keeps working on as long as this horizontal line, this high line, is there. So the variance of latch are SR latch, D latch, JK latch, T latch, and the basic basis of all these all these four latches are SR latch. The rest of the three latches are brought out of SR latch. So for that, I will show one example. So this is the top rightmost diagram. This is SR latch. So from this diagram, from this circuit, if we give inputs, I will take my pointer. I'm having a problem here. I can't see my cursor. Yes. So for four different outputs, four different inputs. So this is S and R, and both of them are 0, and then both of them are 1. Sorry. So when both the inputs are 0, this goes to wait a minute, sir. And both the inputs are 0. When S is 0, the S invert when S gets inverted, it becomes 1 as per the first condition. So the output will be there will be no change. So actually, I will explain this 4 cases in the in later slides. Here, the truth table is not there, so I will explain it. The reason why I put these two diagrams here is the difference between this SR latch and D latch is that not inverter. So because of putting this not inverter here, two of the situations are avoided. One is when the S and R are equal. So when S and R cannot be equal at the same time. So this is the usage of D, and I will explain what is the advantage of this in later slide. So when we talk about flip-flop versus latch, we have to discuss about its advantage and characteristics. What stands unique from why latch stands unique from flip-flop. So the first point is it is sensitive to pulse duration, the other meaning of level triggered. So the duration, as long as the pulse duration is there, the latch continues to work. It progresses. It doesn't have to wait for clock, so it executes the task quicker. So, and the second point is simple circuit, less area and less power consumption. So it can be fit into an IC of a given size better than more number of latches can be fit into an IC when compared to flip-flop with a given IC. The third point is it is asynchronous and depends only on input. As I said before, it doesn't have to wait for a clock. And it is fast and doesn't have to wait for a clock. These are the characteristics of and advantages of a latch. And applications are, it is mainly used where there is no race condition. There is no race condition. Sorry, when there is when the process is under race condition. When the process doesn't have to be harmonious or synchronous. And it is also used where the circuit has to be fit inside a small IC with a considerable amount of speed, which cannot be achieved by its clock counterpart, that is flip-flop. So, but it has some limitations, of course. The limitations are glitches. There are undefined states. There arises one or more undefined states. The second point is it cannot be used in process where synchronous and harmonious tasks are executed, like a digital clock. So in a digital clock, every action waits for a clock pulse. So latches will not wait for clocks. So the third point is less memory capacity. There are less memory capacity when compared to its flip-flop counterpart. There are many flip-flops which contain two or more latches. So such a flip-flop can contain more than one bit memory. And the fourth point is, since it is level triggered, it has metastable states. So this metastable state is the small duration between changing from 0 to 1, like that. So if the amount of task is given too much during that short duration of pulse, then the latch may malfunction, it may go haywire. And sometimes they are unintentionally brought into existence by Verilog designers due to wrong coding, incomplete coding. And I told before that I will explain why D latch is more advantageous than SR latch. And we have the truth table here. When S and R are 0, the present state and next state will be the same. There will be no change. So when S is 0 and R is 1, whatever be the state, whatever be the present state, whether it is 1 or 0, the next state will be 0, which means it gets reset. So the third case is when S is equal to 1 and R is equal to 0. If this is the case, present state, whatever be the present state Q, the next state will be 1, which means it is set, it is pushed up. So it starts, gets toggled. So the last state here is where the intricacy starts. When S and R are 1, whatever may be the present state Q, the next state will be undefined here, as I have mentioned here. So which means when S is 1 and R is 1, they will get inverted and they will become 0. So here is the tough part comes. So it gets undefined. So such a situation has to be avoided. And that's why the first where both S and R are 0, and the last case where S and R are 1, which means both of them are same, that has to be avoided. So that's the reason why why the D flip flop is more preferred, because here only these two options can be these two cases are possible. One is the when the D is 0, when D is 0, the D naught has to be 1. When D naught is 1, when D is 1, the D naught has to be 0. There cannot be a case where both these AND gates receive the same input, whether it is 0 or 1. So these are the two cases. So when this is the case, the output will be, here I'm writing Q, and this is Q naught. Okay, this will be the same here. How the input is, the same way will be the output. So that's, if we have D here, which is 0, and D naught here, which is 1, the output will also be the same. Q is 0 and Q naught will be 1. And similarly for case 2. And that's the reason why D is called as transparent flip-flop. So the next part is flip-flop. I have finished my part. So the Girish will take over flip-flop part. Yes.
Yeah, can you make me host? I have to present.
Yes. I'm having a difficult time to make it learning how to make a host. One minute.
Okay.
Make host. Yeah. You are now a host, Girish.
Okay. Thank you. Well, can you see? Can you see my?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Basically, flip flop is a building blocks in the memory of electronic device. It has 1 bit of storage data, and it has 2 stable states, logic 1 and logic 2, and also it has binary state. Binary stable. It means it can be 0 or 1 in at a time. So it can be either input logic 1 and output is also logic 1. And then these are the flip-flop types: SR flip-flop, D flip-flop, JK flip-flop, and T flip-flop. And in every flip-flop, you can see the clock because the flip-flop is basically came from latch, and it's combined a clock, so it's called a flip-flop. Then, yeah, this is the JK flip-flop diagram. Well, you can see if input is 0 and 0, it will be 0 totally. And JK flip-flop has 2 AND gates and 1 basic NOR flip-flop, and the output will be the output will be 2 AND gates remains at 0. Has the clock will be clock pulse will be 0 too. Then it remains the same for the clock pulse in the digital counter. So this is the input and output for the SR flip-flop, and this is the basic advantage of flip-flop. It is less expensive than a latch, and less chance of making mistakes, because latch has a two 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 complicated circuits than flip-flop. Flip-flop has a clock signal, as I said in this diagram, because latch has no clocks, and flip-flop have clocks. Yeah, flip-flop is a pair of latch. It has a pulse clock signal. It has more area than latch and more gates. It has more power because of having more gates than latch. Circuit analysis will be too easy.
Girish, I have one question here. So
Yes, sir.
depending on all of this, you say, okay, flip-flop is having more area, more power.
Yes, sir.
Then why do we always use flip-flops only and not latches?
Because circuit will be easier, sir. Easier than latch.
When you say circuit will be easier, is it from the design standpoint, or is it from the operation standpoint, or?
Operation, sir.
Okay, in terms of operation, can you explain why we prefer flip-flop? I think it's already covered in the presentation, right? You mentioned something about stability, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Because latch can't because latch don't have the stable state at like flip-flop, so it easier than latch.
Okay, continue.
Okay, sir. The applications for flip-flop is it widely used in register for storing the latch data. It has a 1 bit storage to store the flip-flop, and using a clock pulse, we can count the number of pulses in the digital counters. Then it's basically a computer programming design. It means it don't have a complex circuit compared to the latch. Yeah, that's all. Anybody has any doubts? Anyone?
Guys, sorry, I was away with other meetings.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so can we summarize? I think Praveen and Rakesh, thank you so much. I really appreciate spending your weekend away from the family. 1 hour, 40 minutes, man. It's an awesome job. Really, thank you from the bottom of your heart. Rakesh, the last minute you came, I think thanks to you and Ajay, right? So thank you so much. I think Shankar put up a thumbs up, so please, put a thumbs up and hands up and thank them. Thank you so much.
I think, so Hari, just wanted to share some feedback.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
So I think it was really good presentation. I think all 4 topics were really good. So one thing just in terms of improvement, what I felt is, I think we should pretty much cover less in terms of the theoretical part. I think more practical thing in terms of explaining. I think the first initial presentations had a very lot of code, and that was much easier to understand. Right, and I think that would have been much easier. I mean, that is something which we can.
I did tell them in the guidelines, put a snippet and then give a link and all. I told them, but
so
anyway, they have to learn.
Yeah.
They are doing it.
Correct.
Right?
It's part of the learning process. Yeah, I think that is one feedback, and definitely, as Hari said, I think we should stick to the time. Right, I mean that would be good. And other thing is, try to limit when we come to a presentation. Right, I think we should just limit the number of slides or the content of the slide. What you explain should be given more emphasis, right? I mean, rather than writing down long sentences or something like that from the presentation perspective. So I think these are all few feedbacks which we can probably plan for in upcoming sessions. That's the feedback from my side. But overall, it was really good. I think definitely all the 4 presentations were really good.
Very good. So Praveen, just to touch the other side, if you would like to share how many patents you have or how many innovations you have.
Okay, so I think I've just been working on this part predominantly in Qualcomm. Hari knows about it. So I think I've got 2 patents granted now. So one got granted in last December. So I think it was filed way back in 2016. But yeah, there are a couple more applications in the pipe which are also ongoing. And there were many. I think about 20 invention disclosures is what I've filed till date, right? I think out of that only 4 of them, 2 of them have been granted, and 2 of them are currently in discussion. I think at least 3 of them would have gone to the patent office and then got. I think it was discussed, and then at some point of time it got kind of taken back, right? So I think that's pretty much the summary. But I think these are all critical things. I mean, as Hari was mentioning, right? These what we learned today, right? I mean, that's what you're going to develop on moving forward. So I think this is really good for.
Thank you, Praveen. And Praveen is SVC alumni, as you know.
Right.
Some of you don't know. Yeah. So 3 guys from SVC here. You're proud to say I'm also SVC alumni. Praveen also SVC alumni.
Right. In fact, Hari was the first, when I joined Qualcomm, Hari was the first one to say I'm also from SVC. So
did I interview? No, right? I didn't interview, right? I didn't do the.
No, you didn't interview.
I didn't do the mistake of interviewing you anyway. I did the mistake of hiring Rakesh, I suppose, right, Rakesh?
Yeah, you took my interview. I still remember it.
Okay, Rakesh. So would you like to summarize?
Yeah, so most of the things are already covered by Praveen, and it was a nice presentation. So I believe all the presenters are like 3rd year or 4th year college student. Yep. So seeing that and keeping that in mind, so I would say that you guys have done good background research, and guys, keep learning. And nowadays internet is open, right? Back in our days, it was difficult to and anyway, Hari is giving such a nice platform. So yeah, use it, and yeah, keep your questions ready. This is the time for learning, and yeah, a lot of things to learn going forward. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much, Rakesh. Right? Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Hari and everyone. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Namaskaram, madam.